Hey! How you doing over there? Okay. Had a little technical difficulty, okay? Very interesting, I have to tell you. This was a unique thing for me. You live and learn on this one. I used a specific kind of music, and that music was being blocked, which would have blocked the video. Hey, this is how you learn shit. You know what I'm saying? This is how you learn it. So next week's intro is going to be Volare. Screw it. Hey, that's what happens. I had a bigger intro planned, and this is how it was going to go. Are you ready? It was going to go something like this. Wait a minute. Hey! So that's what you'll see next week. Hey, Lil, thanks for being back again. Marie, Joyce. Oh, Joyce, I love you so much, honey. Thanks for joining. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. So the deal is, I'm very excited about my show today. And you'll see why when I bring on my guest Tom. But I just want to talk about a few things here. First of all, I am wearing my Italian shirt. Oh, my hardcore Italians. I'm telling you, huh? Listen, hey, Nance, if you guys are looking for some Italian clothes and stuff and really different, interesting things, go to hardcoreitalian.com, Italians.com, and you can get stuff like this. It's really cool. They sent it to the Italian chicks because, you know, we're like with them. You know what I mean? If you do, go in and use CHICKS10 as a promo code and you get a discount. What the hell, why not? Screw it. Have a good time. You know what I mean? Life is short. Just enjoy yourselves. All right, now. Steve, what's going on? Sal, Richard, Chrissy, what's cooking? Oh, I love that you guys are joining. I really do. This is Tutti Giombotta, which means a sweet mixed bag of a little bit of everything, okay? And we do this every Wednesday at 1 p.m. And I have some amazing guests. And this week is no different than last week, okay? So I'm really looking forward to bringing my guest on. But I do want to talk about a few little things here. First, I want to give a shout out to my boys in Chicago. Hardcore Italians, Chicago. Go on to Facebook, Instagram, any freaking social media spot, and you just look up Hardcore Italians in your neck of the woods, Chicago, New York, Florida, whatever. You're going to find a freaking Hardcore Italian page. I swear to God. Ruth, what's going on? Oh, Genko. He's making the olive oil. I think he's making the olive oil. See, I think so. Oh, my God. So, I was watching the news this morning when I was getting dressed, and I was a little surprised because I don't know if you guys heard this, but Dunkin' Donuts is changing their names. The name of Dunkin' Donuts is now going to just be called Dunkin'. That's it. Fucking Dunkin'. Period. The end. Okay? Now, you know, just so you know, I used to be in corporate America, and I know what it's like when you're trying to go through a rebranding. Because you sit in a room with about 20 other people. Everybody brings in their decks. And everybody has to justify one word. Why it's valid. Why it's so important. And it's crazy. Because I could just see how that conversation went. Well, you know, donuts have been a long time connection with us. You know, Dunkin' Donuts. And, you know, I'm sorry, Dick. But, you know, we have to move up here. We do have breakfast foods now. And, you know, we're going to be changing that in the future. It may include dinner. You know, light dinner. Give me a friggin' break. It's Dunkin' Donuts, all right? It's donuts. I understand they're trying to, you know, look, everybody wants to change something to make it better. Please, really, that's what it's all about. Everybody's trying to catch up to the next guy, right? That's the way it goes down. But I will tell you what I heard that was very exciting. And I can't wait to share this with you. Gina Scarda's on. Jenko, Ruth, thank you so much for joining, people. I appreciate it. And don't be afraid to ask questions when I have my guest on because he is really amazing. He'll give you some interesting information. Yes, thank you, Nancy. They are freaking idiots. Or as Nancy said, fucking idiots. Okay, whatever. I agree with you, Nancy. Either way. Now, here's the interesting thing. In New Jersey, I have to read this because I was hysterical this morning watching this on the news. They're getting ready to pass the legal weed bill, which includes delivery and smoking lounges. And it's going to include the lowest marijuana tax in the country. It's going to be like a Grubhub. Yeah, send me some fucking weed right now. And listen, guys, being it's the lowest tax in the country, just call me. We can make a freaking deal. I'll be growing shit on my terrace. Oh, this is a way to make money. I'm going to have to talk to Tom about this. We may be able to do something here. Unbelievable. Jesus God. So I thank you guys for coming in here every week and having fun and letting me play. What is this? Wait, we got some questions about Don. Steve, the new Dunkin', yeah, the new Dunkin' dinner. That's going to be fun. Oh, Chenko, thank you so much. Grazie, Dante Bello. Oh, hey, you're going to move back to Jersey just for the weed. Now, don't move back. I'll be your fucking middle person. You know what I'm saying? This is the way it's going to go down. Let me handle it. I can do it. I can do it. Oh, please. So, I want to get ready to bring in my next guest here. Because guess what? I just fucking considered me the first guest. Just so you know. All right? So, I want to bring in my guest here, but I want to tell you a little bit about Tom. And I know him personally. He's a pretty amazing guy, and he's a lot of fun, and he's a cool dude. But I really want to read his professional bio and just give you an idea of exactly what it is that he does. And really, this is a way that you guys could really change your life. You really can. Because I changed mine. In 2006, I resigned from my six-figure job as vice president sales coach and strategic branding in finance of all things, right? And I took a leap of faith, and I wanted to follow my passions. And I've done just that. I've never been happier. And you know what? That really means that I was a minimalist before it was trendy. You see how that works, okay? All right, so let me tell you a little bit about Tom. Tom is a self-made small business expert and certified franchise expert. Tom has owned and operated 5 businesses, both franchised and non-franchised. Tom was the first franchisee of the year in one franchise concept and failed miserably in another concept. The lessons he learned from failure is what makes him such an expert, which is always the truth, right? Whatever you fail in, you then become a consultant in. True, it's true. Named one of the top 50 business leaders in Long Island, Tom has helped over 1,500 people figure out if franchising is right for them since 2005. Tom hosts a Franchise Academy podcast show and is the author of 3 books, the #1 bestseller, Franchise Savvy, and 6 strategies pros use to pick a top performing franchise. And my favorite, The Road to Franchise Freedom and The Magic of Choosing Uncertainty. He's been featured in dozens of magazines, newspapers, and is sought after by many radio guests, and I got him right here. Let's bring on Tom. Oh, Tom, I just saw you. Where'd you go? There you are. He should be with us shortly. Hey, Paula, thanks for joining. Hey, Tom.
I feel like Einstein or no, Thomas Edison. Hello, can you hear me in this can? Does this can work?
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's crazy. This is
nuts. You know what? I think you got a little too much light on you, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm feeling that. Hang on a second. I'll fix that.
Yeah, okay. You see, I'm producing as we're doing this here, so this is a good thing.
Now it's too dark.
I love that. Much better.
It's not too dark?
No, I can see you better. Your whole face was lit up. I couldn't even see your expressions, which are very important because you do make good expressions. So how are you, Tom?
I am great. This is the first Facebook Live interview that I've ever done. So this is really interesting.
Good. I'm glad. And I'm glad that you and I have a connection, so that helps.
Yeah.
Lillian, listen to this. And I want you people out there to listen to this guy because, sometimes people have this myth in their heads, Tom, and they hear the word franchise and they're like, oh, forget about it. And it's not the case, because when I started doing some research about it, I was pretty damn impressed, and I guess before we kind of get into a lot of the depth of all of that and you breaking, being the myth buster and, like, who are you going to call? Tom Scarda. You know what I mean?
I like that. You can make a jingle for me.
Use that. I think it's cool. I'll make like a little song promo.
Yeah, you make a little jingle for me.
Yeah, I'll do a jingle. It'd be cool. People call you, who are you going to call? Tom Scarda. So let me just ask you some questions here. What does a self-made business expert mean, and how do you do it?
Well, it's interesting that I was called that, and I was like, that kind of makes sense because, prior to me getting into business, I was a New York City subway conductor.
Oh
So
wow.
if you ever rode the New York City subway, I was the guy opening and closing the doors and making the announcements that you couldn't understand because they're always gobbled. And I did that for 13 years. But one day early on, there was an old timer there who said to me, "Hey, kid, you know what? This is a great job because you'll always have a shirt on your back. It'll never be a silk shirt, but you'll always have a shirt." And that hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, wait a second. I'm working my butt off. I'm never going to have like the metaphorical silk shirt. And I looked around at my bosses, who I love. Don't get me wrong. I mean, those men and women taught me a lot about life as I was a new worker in the subway, but they were not living the lifestyle I wanted to live. And as I looked around, I realized that business owners were wearing the silk shirt, if you will. And I realized, you know what? I'm a government worker. I don't have an education. My dad was a cop. I don't come from money. How am I going to do this? So I read a lot of books. I went to seminars. I realized that a franchise is a business with training wheels. And that's what I needed, right? I needed somebody to hold my hand. And so my wife and I, Gina, we decided back in 2000, 18 years ago, to buy our first franchise. And we dove in and bought something called Maui Wowie Smoothies, built it, had 3 locations, did wonderful, sold it for a lot of money. And that was a great experience. But then there's a second part of the story and a third part of the story, which I guess I'll elaborate on later.
Interesting. That's interesting, though. But see, so you made some amazing transitions in your life, as did I, and
yeah.
I think that's why I like the connection. I connect with you in a different way because I understand what you felt and what you went through, and I kind of did the same thing. But I think you found a way to really get people that are kind of stuck. Like sometimes people are trying to make an exit out of something that they're really not happy about. And they don't quite know how to do it. And they're afraid. And fear becomes the biggest obstacle. And
No
so I guess the fear would be, let's go, the top thing about fear would probably be money. So my question to you is like, do you need $1 million to buy a franchise? I mean, what does it cost?
So there's a misnomer that you need a lot of money and you're going to be tied to a store 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's not true. You could be in a franchise pretty inexpensively. Actually, if you have a decent credit score, which is 680 FICO score or better, we could get you a loan for the whole entire thing.
Wow.
But minimally, you will be investing about 40 to 50,000 on the low end. And that's in order, to make a good salary for yourself, make a good profit, commensurate with what you're making right now, making the same
So
money.
you could put 50,000 all in and have yourself a decent income?
Absolutely. I mean, I can't really say how much money you could make,
right.
and it depends on the franchise and all that kind of stuff. But if you're somebody who's, got an average job, you're making 60, 70, 80,000, you could definitely invest, 40 or 50,000, even with a home equity loan to start the business.
Exactly.
And you have the track to follow, it's a blueprint that they give you. And you could replace that salary, within 18 months or so. You have to build the business. There's a lot that goes into it. And that's what I coach people on, is as I match people with opportunities. So,
well, you see, that's what I think, because I think a lot of people are really into this entrepreneurial head. And like the millennials are now turning out to be the new entrepreneurs because they just want to sit in their apartment on a beanbag with a laptop, and they're making businesses. They don't care. They don't.
Some are really successful. You
right?
could right now with the internet, you could make money. There's no matter all different ways you could do it.
So who typically buys franchises? Is it just business owners?
Well, it's funny. A lot of people feel like there's like a halo around business owners. You got to have a background or you have to have an MBA, and it's not true at all. Actually, business owners, as you mentioned, are not good franchise owners because they come with all this baggage from their own old businesses that they used to own. The best people and the most often person that we see is a man or a woman who's a middle manager type person or in sales, and they realize, hey man, I'm never going to get, to the end of the month before my paycheck runs out. I got to do something different.
Exactly.
Right? And so they get into a franchise. And, you know, I've been doing this for 13 years, matching people with opportunities. And people go from, you know, a small, nice little job to owning an empire over, you know, it takes years. Don't get me wrong. You know, there's no overnight success. There's nothing free out there. You got to work at it. You know, my favorite quote is, when opportunity knocks, hard work answers the door. And
exactly.
So, right. So when you get a franchise, now you got that opportunity.
Right.
It's like getting drafted into the NFL, right? And so you're there. Now you got to work your butt off.
Yeah.
And you got to make the plays. You got to work the equipment. And I always say to people, if you're the kind of person that loves that if you're the kind of person that thinks that you're going to join a gym and get in shape just because you joined the gym, you probably shouldn't buy a franchise. Because just because you buy a franchise doesn't mean that you're going to make money or be successful.
Right.
You really have to work the equipment. You know, it ain't easy. There's nothing easy out there.
No,
you know?
Nothing's easy. I agree. You know, we have a question here, and I'm sure this is something you can't give out names to, because if they're really that interested, they could get in touch with you. It says, what are some of the top franchises with low startup costs?
It's a great question. So I could give you some flavor around that. And, you know, in franchising, there's more than 4,000 franchise companies in 90 different industries. 89 industries have nothing to do with fast food, which is always top of mind. Fast food is really expensive. But if you could get into a service-based business, you could do it out of your home. It could be a home-based business. That's the kind of thing that you're in for under $75,000. Wow. And you could make some good money. And it's really things that kind of surround the home, whether you're fixing something or installing something new, repairing something, you know, whatever it might be. It's typically around home type stuff, even automobiles. Right. You know, I always say that, you know, most people watching this video probably live in the United States, and they probably live in an urban or a suburban area. Even in a rural area, there's things that have to be fixed. There's things that have to be maintained. You know, everybody has kids and dogs, and they all have to be fed and cleaned. Right. It's all you can do it all in a franchise.
So I bet you there's tons of dog walking franchises, right?
There's not a ton, but there's one that's great that I know of. So, you know, I pre-screen all the franchises. Our company back in Minneapolis, they pre-screen. We work with companies we know actually have a chance of being successful and not just throwing stuff against the wall. So when I do a consultation with somebody, it's not just like, hey, you like donuts? Let's look at Dunkin' Donuts, as you were talking about earlier. Right. You know, we're going to look at things that are going to make sense for them financially, investment level, income level. You know, do you have kids? You want to see their soccer game on Saturday morning? Well, we got to find a franchise that's going to allow you to have more family time. That's more important than anything in life. So you're right. It's not just about, hey, how much money I could make. You know, you can say, hey, you know, a lot of people say to me, I just want to make a lot of money. What's the franchise that's going to make me the most money? You know, I can show you all sorts of things, but if you hate it, that money's going to get old. Even, you know, no matter how much you're making. You know, you think about all these celebrities that are rich and famous, and then they kill themselves.
That's true. And, you know, the old adage is, you know, money doesn't bring you happiness. It really doesn't.
Never does.
So I guess what you're saying is that if let's say I had a passion, or I thought I had a passion for like Orange Theory gyms, and I just liked it because like all my friends went there and it was whatever, and I said, yo, Tom, I want to do this. You would actually talk me out of that if you felt I was ego driven on it and not.
Yeah, the worst thing, Maryann, as you know, is to be infatuated. When you're infatuated with something, you never think straight. So
true. You're right? So right.
So you never want to be. You never want to be infatuated with a business concept, because then you can't make good business decisions. So a personal, you know, for me, when I first got into franchising, the thing with me is I was in California visiting my brother Jack, and he said, you got to see this you got to see this ice cream store. They have a line out the door. It's fantastic. This is back 1999.
Right.
And so he takes me to the store in San Diego, and it's Cold Stone Creamery, if you know that ice cream.
Oh, yeah, I do know that.
So I'm like, oh, this is awesome, right? So I get back on the old feeble internet back then, and I find Cold Stone, and I also find a franchise consulting company that I now work with. They matched me. So I talked to this lady, Carol. She lives in South Jersey. She was my consultant at the time. And she said to me, you know what, Tom? First of all, you can't afford it because it was like $350,000 to open one of those stores.
God.
My budget was only like $100,000. And she said, you know, at the end of the day, it's probably not the best franchise anyway, because in the Northeast, it's, you know, there's some, you know, seasonal differences that California doesn't see. There's a lot of different nuances that, as a novice, I didn't even really think about.
Right.
Also, the franchise agreement that you sign for a 10-year period was actually, in that concept, lopsided a little bit towards the franchise company more than the franchisee. So you were making not as much money as you could be with a different concept. And so she introduced me to Maui Wowie Smoothies, which was a much better deal for me. I got into it, built into 3 locations in 5 years. I sold it and essentially semi-retired at 41 years old.
Right.
Got into a second franchise called Super Suppers, which sounded great. You come to our location, make food, take it home, freeze it when you're busy. You know, in between the Thai and Chick shows, you throw something in the oven, and 30 minutes you have a home-cooked meal that you did with your own. So it was great, especially for like working moms. Sounded fantastic. We were actually on the front cover of the Sunday New York Times in 2006. I can show you the article. I still have it. And Kim Severinsen, who wrote that article, who's now actually the head of all food articles for the New York Times, she said, wow, you were changing lives the way McDonald's and Swanson did 50 years ago. And we're like, wow, music to my ears. Within 19 months, we were out of business and we lost $400,000.
Oh, my God.
That's what made me a franchise expert. Not the success, but it was that failure. And I realized all these things. Now I give seminars on all those things I learned. Don't do what I did, and let's learn and do it the right way. And that's what I've been doing for 13 years, is helping people avoid the mistakes of getting to something and failing.
Right. And that's got to be really rewarding to you in so many levels. And I know that sounds so stupid, but helping people just makes you feel damn good.
My mission in life is to help people not buy the wrong franchise. That's
Right.
what I do day in and day out.
Right. And I wanted to ask you about your book, because I just love it. I mean, the book is The Magic of Choosing Uncertainty. And you talk about, in the book, making life choices. Can you give us your rule on that?
So, you know, when you're thinking about life choices, and I don't care if it's buying a business, I don't care if it's choosing a college, choosing a place to live, choosing a mate, choosing to get out of a relationship, your choice always comes down to the choice between uncertainty and unhappiness. Most people choose unhappiness. And that breaks my heart, especially when I'm talking to somebody who's like, I hate my boss, he shouldn't have the job, he's a schmuck, you know, blah, blah, whatever it is. I hate the commute.
Right.
I hate being on a plane because I'm missing my kids' games, you know, whatever it is. But then they stay with it because it's unhappiness. It's what they know. It's comfortable, but it's not really what their life is leading them toward. And I always feel like when you have a desire in your heart to do something different, that's really God telling you what to do. Mm-hmm. And when you ignore that, then you're telling God, you know, to be blunt, you're telling God, F you, I'm going to do it my way, not your way.
Right.
And that's kind of like serious business when you do that. But people feel like they need to just stay in their place. So a story that I tell in the beginning of that book, which I think you'll get a kick out of, there's 2 guys sitting on a porch drinking sarsaparilla, and so they're drinking their root beer, and one of them has their pet hound dog with them. And every once in a while, the hound dog lets out a yelp. And the guy says, well, he says to his friend, what's up with your dog? And he, oh, nothing. He goes, well, why is he yelping? Oh, he's laying on a nail. He's laying on a nail? Why doesn't he get up? And he goes, well, I guess it just doesn't hurt enough.
It doesn't hurt enough, right?
And that's the story of everyone's life, is you just put up with this little bit of frustration,
Right,
and you're like,
right,
well, but I have to pay the bills.
right.
And
That's a
you
great metaphor.
justify it, and you
Right.
justify it, and you continue to justify it until one day when you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I wasted my life being unhappy. And
Right.
that's what breaks my heart.
Absolutely. But that's a great metaphor. I love that. And what about, you always talk to people, you talk about people who are addicted to hopium. What is it? And do I need to, like, can I buy it off the street from a guy or what? Like,
So, all right, I'll admit here on the air on Facebook Live, I was a drug addict. I was addicted to hopium.
hopium.
I was hoping my life would change. So then one day I
I
woke
love
up.
that term, Tom. Hopium is great.
Thank you. I realized that I was not taking responsibility for my life, and I was laying on a nail. And I woke up. I was like, you know what? I'm getting off this hopium, man. I'm gonna go through the DTs. I'm gonna do what I gotta do, and I'm gonna take control of my life. And that takes a lot of chutzpah to do. To quit a job. I mean, I was working for the New York City subway, MTA. You can't get fired. Unless you could kill somebody and not get fired. As long as you're not on drugs, as long as you're not stealing time, you keep your job.
Right.
I quit.